What if I told you that everything you need to transform your financial life is hidden within a single verse of the Bible? Yes, just one verse holds the key to unlocking the abundance you've been searching for. Many people struggle financially because they focus solely on what they can receive, ignoring a powerful spiritual principle that has already transformed the lives of thousands. What's fascinating is that this principle isn't just about money. It's about a complete shift in how you view your resources, your purpose, and your blessings. Here's the catch. Most people have read this verse, but few truly understand its depth. It's not just a motivational phrase. It's a revelation of how biblical prosperity works. Today, I'll show you how to apply it both practically and spiritually. By the end of this, you'll see how this knowledge can completely change everything for you. Long ago, a young king asked for wisdom, not wealth or fame. Solomon understood that wisdom was the foundation of everything else. Impressed by his humility, God granted him not only wisdom, but also unimaginable riches and prosperity. Solomon's story teaches us that true prosperity begins with a generous heart, willing to give. Just as Solomon blessed his nation, God wants us to use what we have to bless others, opening doors for even more blessings to flow into our lives. The Bible clearly says, "It is more blessed to give than to receive." Acts 20:35. This isn't just a nice saying. It's a profound spiritual principle that, when understood, transforms lives. This verse carries a powerful promise. Generosity is the path to abundance. No one can give unless they have first received, and the more we give, the more we receive in return. Generosity activates the cycle of biblical prosperity. Some people live like dams, holding on to everything they receive, accumulating and hoarding. Others flow like rivers, allowing blessings to pass through them and reach others. But here's the critical detail. A dam will eventually stop receiving because there's no more room to store what comes in. So ask yourself, are you living like a river, or are you a dam blocking everything? In a world where so many struggle to find financial stability, this verse reveals a key. It's not just about the physical act of giving. It's about your spiritual positioning. The Bible teaches that God's financial promises are directly tied to and anxieties, especially when money is tight. But here's the truth. God doesn't ask you to give because He needs it. He asks you to give because He wants to change you. It's an invitation to live like Solomon, who trusted that God was his infinite source of provision. As you reflect on this, remember, the keys to abundance aren't in what you keep, but in what you release with faith. True prosperity begins when we understand that everything we have comes from God. When we give, we align ourselves with His plan to bless others. If you need prayer and anxieties, especially when money is tight, but here's the truth. God doesn't ask you to give because He needs it. He asks you to give because He wants to change you. It's an invitation to live like Solomon, who trusted that God was his infinite source of provision. As you reflect on this, remember, the keys to abundance aren't in what you keep, but in what you release with faith. True prosperity begins when we understand that everything we have comes from God. When we give, we align ourselves with His plan to bless others. If you need prayer for your finances or any situation you're facing, leave your request in the comments. We're here to pray with you, believing that God can transform your life. Imagine a river flowing powerfully, bringing life wherever it goes. Now imagine a dam holding back all the water it receives, never letting it out. Which do you think has a greater purpose? This is the principle of giving to receive. Just as the river renews itself by allowing water to flow, our lives are filled when we learn to release and share what we have. But when we act like dams, accumulating and holding on, we inevitably block the flow of blessings. Proverbs 11:25 sums it up perfectly. A generous person will prosper, Whoever refreshes others will be refreshed. This isn't just spiritual poetry. It's a life-changing truth. Those who choose to give don't just see their needs met. They experience peace and fulfillment that money alone can never provide. It's a principle tested through generations, and it always works in daily life. This concept is everywhere. Businesses that share their resources and reinvest in meaningful causes tend to thrive. People who give their time, ideas, or finances to others create unexpected opportunities and deep connections. It's no coincidence. Giving connects us to God's purpose for our lives, opening doors we can't open on our own. Consider Andrew Carnegie, a man who built one of the greatest fortunes of his time and then dedicated his life to giving. He created libraries, educational institutions, and projects that transformed entire communities. Carnegie understood that wealth without purpose was empty, so he turned his resources into a river of blessings that continues to flow even after his death. But many of us live with a mindset of scarcity, clinging to what little we have, fearing it will never be enough. This mindset is a trap. Like the dam, it disconnects us from the flow of abundance. On the other hand, when we give, we declare with our actions that we trust in a God who is limitless in resources and generosity. Giving doesn't always have to be money. Sometimes it's your time, your skills, or simply a listening ear. But here's the secret. The more you give, the more your capacity to receive grows. It's a virtuous cycle that reflects God's design. By giving, we become part of His work, bringing light and hope to those who need it most. Every time you choose to share, you break chains of fear and spiritual poverty, opening your life to God's infinite flow. So are you ready to stop being a dam and become a river? If you're breathing, you've already received something from God. The simple fact that you're alive is evidence of His generosity. But how often do we focus on what we lack instead of being grateful for what we already have? The truth is, gratitude is the foundation of prosperity. Recognizing what we've received frees us from anxiety and prepares us to give joyfully. The Bible makes it clear in Luke 6:38, "Give, and it will be given to you. A good measure, pressed down, shaken together, and running over, will be poured into your lap." When we give, something powerful happens. We stop seeing our limitations and start seeing possibilities. Giving isn't just about what we have. It's about recognizing that what we have isn't really ours. It's a gift from God. This shift in perspective transforms us from mere receivers to collaborators with Him. Take John D. Rockefeller as an example. He began tithing with the little he earned as a young worker. He didn't wait to get rich to give. He believed that even the little he had could multiply if used for others. And the incredible part? His generosity didn't just benefit others, it made him one of the richest men of his time. Rockefeller knew that giving turned him into a river, not a dam. But here's the dilemma many of us face. How can we give when we feel we don't have enough? The answer is simple yet challenging. It all starts with trust. Gratitude and generosity aren't about how much we give, but how much we trust. When we recognize what we've already received, we see that there's always something we can share, even in our hardest moments. God doesn't call us to give because He needs what we have. He calls us to give because we need to trust Him. Every act of generosity reminds us that our provision doesn't depend on our circumstances, but on His faithfulness. It's an act of faith that breaks the chains of fear and connects us to the abundance of God. Gratitude transforms our mindset and unlocks the door to greater blessings. It's a principle that defies conventional logic. The more you give, the more you receive. But this isn't just about money. It's also about time, words of encouragement, and acts of love. Whatever you sow will eventually return to you. So the next time you feel like you have nothing left to offer, remember this. If you're breathing, you've already been given life. And if you've received, you have something to give. This is a divine cycle designed to fill your life with peace and purpose. Have you ever felt stuck, as though the blessings you long for are perpetually out of reach? Often, the root cause lies in something invisible. At first glance, the habit of holding back, of living like a dam, hoarding everything out of fear of loss. It might seem logical, but over time, it leads to stagnation. A dam that stops the flow of water becomes a stagnant pool. In contrast, a river that gives continuously never ceases to receive. The mindset of withholding stems from fear, the belief that if we let go of what little we have, there won't be more. But here's the truth. God cannot fill clenched fists. By clinging tightly, we limit our capacity to receive. The Bible teaches profound principles about finances and generosity. For instance, Proverbs 11:24 reminds us, "There are those who scatter freely, yet grow richer. Others withhold what is right and face poverty." The problem with living like a dam isn't merely material. It's spiritual. When we hold back, we disconnect from our purpose of being channels of blessing. Many people work hard, save diligently, invest wisely, and still feel empty. Why? Because their focus is on accumulation, not sharing. God's promises regarding provision are meant to flow through us, not stop with us. Consider the early days of Amazon. Jeff Bezos prioritized enhancing customer experience over maximizing immediate profits, a decision that seemed risky at the time. Yet, this mindset of giving value first transformed Amazon into one of the most prosperous companies in the world. Bezos understood that flow, not retention, is the key to growth. Still, many of us fall prey to a scarcity mentality, believing we must hoard what we have because we feel responsible. But here's the secret. Holding on to what God has entrusted to you isn't wisdom, it's distrust. And distrust closes the door to abundance. Instead of asking, "How much can I keep?" ask yourself, "What can I give today to make room for more?" Living like a river doesn't mean being reckless. It means trusting that God is your source. It means giving what you can even when it feels like you don't have much. Remember, a river flows because it's connected to a greater source. We too become like rivers when we recognize that everything we have comes from Him. Every time you choose to give, you declare that you're not dependent on your own resources, but on a God who can do much with little. So, stop living like a dam. Start flowing like a river and watch as God transforms your life into a channel of blessings. But once we grasp the importance of flowing like a river, an inevitable question arises. How do we give when we're facing times of scarcity? It's easy to be generous when things are going well, but difficult seasons truly test our faith. In those moments, giving becomes an act of radical trust in God, a declaration that our provision doesn't depend on our circumstances, but on His faithfulness. The Bible offers a powerful example in the story of the widow of Zarephath. 1 Kings 17. During a severe drought, she had only a handful of flour and a little oil, enough for one last meal before starvation. Yet Elijah asked the unimaginable. She was to prepare food for him first. She could have clung to what little she had, but instead she chose to trust. Her generosity unleashed a miracle. The flour and oil never ran out. Do you feel like that widow, staring at your meager resources and wondering if they'll be enough? It's natural. We've all been there, counting every penny, wrestling with the fear of not having enough for tomorrow. But here's the truth. The little you have, given in faith, becomes much. In God's hands. Giving during tough times isn't losing. It's planting seeds in the soil of divine provision. There's something transformative about choosing to give when it seems like you have nothing. It's an act of defiance against fear and anxiety. When we give, we challenge our own doubts and send a clear message to heaven. We trust that God is our source, and He isn't limited by our bank accounts, debts, or daily struggles. This doesn't mean we should be imprudent or give beyond our means. Generosity must always be guided by wisdom. But even in the darkest moments, there's always something we can share: time, talents, or words of encouragement. When we give, no matter how small the amount, we sow hope in our lives and the lives of others. Think about how small acts of kindness create ripples. A kind word can change someone's day. A simple gesture of help can open unexpected doors. Giving doesn't just affect those who receive, it transforms those who give. It makes us more open, more connected to others, and most importantly, more aligned with God's heart. If you find yourself in the midst of a financial or emotional storm today, remember that. Benefits, but also practical and tangible rewards. When you understand how to apply this principle in your daily life, you begin to unlock a constant flow of opportunities, resources, and connections. Take the example of smart investments. Many of the world's most successful entrepreneurs don't hoard their initial earnings, they reinvest them. This not only multiplies their resources, but also creates long-term impact. Applying this principle to personal finance means not just saving for yourself, but investing in causes, projects, or people that generate mutual benefit. The Bible calls this sowing and reaping, and the principle remains equally relevant today. Passive benefits, but also practical and tangible rewards. When you understand how to apply this principle in your daily life, you begin to unlock a constant flow of opportunities, resources, and connections. Take the example of smart investments. Many of the world's most successful entrepreneurs don't hoard their initial earnings. They reinvest them. This not only multiplies their resources, but also creates long-term impact. Applying this principle to personal finance means not just saving for yourself, but investing in causes, projects, or people that generate mutual benefit. The Bible calls this sowing and reaping, and the principle remains equally relevant today. Passive income is another modern reflection of this idea. Consider how investments in well-managed properties or businesses generate steady returns over time. This allows individuals to meet their needs while also having margin to be generous. By sharing a portion of what they earn, they multiply their impact and often reap unexpected returns. This mirrors God's promises about finances. Generosity opens doors that effort alone cannot. But generosity isn't confined to money. Thriving companies like Patagonia understand that creating value goes beyond profit. They invest significant portions of their earnings in environmental causes, earning customer loyalty and building a reputation that spans generations. This demonstrates that divine justice and prosperity go hand in hand when we use our resources for a higher purpose. In your daily life, this principle can take many forms. It might look like helping a colleague with their workload, spending time with someone in need, or simply offering words of encouragement. Generosity fosters an environment where everyone can thrive. When you give, you build relationships, earn trust, and form connections that lead to unexpected opportunities. Life may push us to focus solely on ourselves, on protecting our interests. But true abundance isn't about accumulation. It's about using what you have to positively impact the world around you. Think of it like a farmer who decides not to hoard his entire harvest, but plants part of it instead. At first, that seed might seem like a sacrifice, but over time, it produces an abundant crop. This is the essence of generosity. When you live by this principle, something inside you shifts. Generosity frees us from the fear of loss and connects us to an infinite source, God. His promise, outlined in sacred teachings, is that true financial abundance comes when our lives align with His principles. Giving is the key that unlocks resources, ideas, and connections. It transforms not only your life, but the lives of everyone around you. Every act of generosity, no matter how small, plants a seed in the lives of others. But it's more than just the action itself, it's the ripple effect. Generosity has the power to inspire movements, sparking a chain reaction that extends far beyond the initial moment. This is true leadership, leading by example, not merely with words. A generous leader doesn't hoard knowledge, time, or resources. Instead, they share freely, knowing that abundance grows when shared. Take King Solomon as an example. He used his wisdom and wealth not for selfish gain, but to build a temple, a symbol of connection between God and humanity. He understood that prosperity wasn't meant solely for personal benefit, but as a tool to serve generations. His legacy endures not because of the riches he amassed, but because of the purpose he infused into them. A modern-day embodiment of this principle is Chuck Feeney, a billionaire entrepreneur who chose to give away nearly all his fortune to causes like education, healthcare, and humanitarian efforts. Rather than living lavishly, he embraced generosity. His actions didn't just change individual lives, they ignited a movement among other wealthy individuals to follow suit. This proves that generosity transforms not only people, but entire communities. What does this mean for you? More than you might think. You don't need vast wealth to lead generously. Every time you choose to give, whether it's sharing your expertise, offering your time, or encouraging someone, you're setting an example. You're showing those around you that there's a greater purpose behind everything we do. Generous leadership creates a multiplier effect. When you give, you inspire others to do the same. It's like lighting one candle from another. Your light doesn't diminish when shared, yet the space around you becomes brighter. This principle transcends financial donations. It applies to every area of life: relationships, work, and community involvement. Each act of generosity holds the potential to create something larger than ourselves. We are called not merely to receive blessings, but to become channels of blessing for others. When we embrace this calling, we experience divine abundance and become instruments of transformation. True prosperity isn't measured by what we possess, but by how we use it to impact the world. Imagine if more people lived by this principle. If each of us decided to give more than we take, we could transform families, communities, and even nations. This is an invitation to dream bigger, lead with compassion, and allow yourself to be used for a higher purpose. Say this aloud or write it down. I am a channel of blessing to others. Declare it with faith, knowing that when you give, God multiplies what's in your hands to fulfill His divine plan. Generosity goes beyond finances. While monetary giving is important, we often underestimate the power of other forms of generosity: our time, talents, and words. These acts, though unseen by many, leave an eternal impact. Giving isn't just an act of obedience. It's transformative, shaping both giver and receiver. Consider Barnabas, known in Scripture as the son of encouragement. He didn't just sell property to support early believers. He invested his heart and time in mentoring others, including Paul. His legacy demonstrates that true generosity surpasses material wealth. In daily life, generosity can manifest in simple yet profound ways. Listening to someone who needs to be heard, dedicating time to teach what you know, or using your skills to solve a problem. These small gestures have the power to forge deep connections, sow hope, and demonstrate. And when we give, we align ourselves with that design, becoming reflections of Him to those around us. Generosity also builds legacies. When you invest in people, your impact multiplies. It's not just about what you accomplish, but the lives you touch and how you inspire others to do the same. That's the essence of generous leadership, creating an influence that transcends time. If you've ever thought you have nothing to give, remember this: your time, your words, your willingness to listen. These are powerful seeds. God can use whatever you have, no matter how small it may seem, to change. And when we give, we align ourselves with that design, becoming reflections of Him to those around us. Generosity also builds legacies. When you invest in people, your impact multiplies. It's not just about what you accomplish, but the lives you touch and how you inspire others to do the same. That's the essence of generous leadership, creating an influence that transcends time. If you've ever thought you have nothing to give, remember this: your time, your words, your willingness to listen. These are powerful seeds. God can use whatever you have, no matter how small it may seem, to change lives. The true power of giving lies not in the amount, but in the intention behind it. As we reflect on these teachings, let's consider how to apply them in our daily lives. Learning isn't enough. It's time to act. Every lesson, every biblical example, invites us to live in a way that honors God and shifts our perspective on the resources He's entrusted to us. Remember, it's better to give than to receive. This isn't just spiritual advice. It's an invitation to be a river of blessings, flowing outward to those around you. Think about how you can practice generosity today, not just financially, but with your time, words, and talents. What small steps can you take to align your life with this timeless principle? Great men of faith, like Solomon, and modern figures like Chuck Feeney, remind us that biblical prosperity comes from using what we have to impact others. This truth remains as powerful today as it was in biblical times. By applying these principles, you invite God to pour out His abundance in your life, knowing that what you receive will flow to others. If you're unsure where to start, consider this a personal challenge. Take a step of faith, trust that God will provide, and watch how He works through you. No matter how small your action may seem, what matters is the heart behind it. And remember, you can make a difference in the world starting right now.